Good afternoon again, and thank you for being here with us. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge certain individuals who are here with us today. We have New York State Senator Phil Boyle, New York State Assemblyman Phil Ramos, Suffolk County Executive Steve Bellone, Islip Town Supervisor and Co-Chair of the Central Islip DRI Committee, Angie Carpenter. We have Suffolk County Legislator Sammy Gonzalez, Islip Town Councilwoman Trish Bergen, Islip Town Councilman John Cochran Jr., and members of the Regional Economic Development Council. We have with us John Dorso, Dave Capel, and Harvey Camille is here. Also, we have members of the Central Islip DRI Committee. We have with us today Debbie Kavanaugh. She's the chairperson of the Islip Community Development Agency. Debbie, right there. And local residents Kenneth Hahn, right there. We have with us Nancy Manfredonia, who has done so much in the Central Islip community with the Civic. We have from the Suffolk County Police Department, we have Officer Pete Rivera. And we also have Joan Crescitelli with us here today as well. So thank you for being here. And again, welcome. I am honored to be here today as we acknowledge the hard work of the Central Islip community in securing the Downtown Revitalization Initiative grant. This grant has already helped improve a number of cities throughout the state, and now the community before us will have their dreams realized through this implementation. It is important to note that Central Islip was the first hamlet in Suffolk County to receive and be awarded this grant.
Yes. First of many.
Yes, the first of many. The direct impact the downtown revitalization on local and state economies is well documented. The critical investment is important to create jobs, to increase property value, bring tourists, all which are direct economic benefits to those living in Central Islip and here in Suffolk County. I look forward to seeing this funding put to good use, and I want to again congratulate every single one of you who worked so hard to make this possible. I am now proud to introduce the 77th Lieutenant Governor of this great state of New York, Kathy Hochul. As our Lieutenant Governor, she has spearheaded this administration's economic development efforts across the state and works every single day to advocate on behalf of all New Yorkers. And today is no different. Lieutenant Governor, welcome to Central Islip. It is so nice to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I heard some shots being taken at our great county executive at the beginning.
Thank you, Governor.
And there is no truth to the rumor that the announcement is to say the county executive Bellone was actually on time today. That is not the news announcement.
Thank you, Governor.
Although the fact that we told them that this was an 11 a.m. event didn't hurt either. So great to be back here with my friends. First of all, this woman, we have done so much together, and I commend the residents for having the wisdom to elect her to the Senate. But when I saw that at a community event last summer I was invited to, and she willingly went into the dunk tank and was willing to be tossed down there. But I think she also knew when she asked me to throw the ball that my skills at baseball throwing are not as good as they should be, so she was spared hitting the water. So I think she's going to continue giving me the ball next summer. Also, Senator Phil Boyle, thank you for being here as well. We appreciate your service to this community. Our assembly members are here. Steve Bellone, as I mentioned, we have been at so many events together, and your stewardship of this county has been extraordinary. The Governor and I so appreciate the work that you do, your friendship, and the way you're such a fighter. I've never seen Steve Bellone in the Capitol or out here without his hands out for more money. So Steve, here's some money, okay? So we thank you, but also to our town supervisor, Carpenter. I have spent 14 years as a town board member, so I feel your pain. I know what it's like when you're at the core level of government. Community service is so important to all of us in public service. So I thank you for your leadership, and the members of the planning committee. This is the best part of my job. The governor, in his genius way of delivering economic development dollars, said, in addition to having the regional economic development councils, and I chair them for the entire state, and I will be at the Long Island one in the next 2 hours. That is a process that is ongoing. It's extremely successful. But he also realized that there are smaller communities, hamlets, like Central Islip, that it's harder for them to get their hands on a significant amount of money that all at once, if spent properly, can have a huge wow factor and really, literally, change the trajectory of a community. But the number one premise is that you do not want Albany telling you how to spend this money. This is organic. This is a plan that when you have a competition, and the governor and I are extremely competitive people, and it works for us. When you have a competition, community members pull together, people who may never had the opportunity to share ideas and come up with a common vision, the residents, the electeds, members of labor, members of academia, not-for-profits, the advocates, they all pull together and come up with a vision that all it takes is $10 million to get over the finish line, and they'll be a winning community. So the governor was here last year. He announced that this community was successful in a competition, and statewide there are over 122 communities competing. Only 10 are winners, so that is significant. But this year, after all the hard work of this planning committee, and I know the supervisor knows what I'm talking about, a lot of conversations, a lot of input from the residents, we were given opportunities to consider the best ideas to put them forward and put the money behind them. So today, we announced what those projects are. But at the outset, I will say, projects that are not funded through this mechanism still have a strong chance of survival. There are so many different sources of funding through the state, whether it's through the REDCs or elsewhere, and I want to make sure anyone who says, I didn't get mine today, that you still stand in line, because we're going to be there to support you as well. But I will also say, before we make these announcements, and I'm really not going to filibuster because it's hotter here than usual. I talked for an hour in Brooklyn. I'm not going to do that to you guys. I also want to say I feel an energy here on Long Island that I don't think was here a few years back. I think a lot of communities were still kind of reeling from the loss of the bread and butter aerospace and defense manufacturing and the big projects. And now we have jobs of a different kind coming back here. Who would have thought this area would be booming in agriculture, for example, or the Hauppauge Industrial Park, the largest industrial park in America, is right here. And I just announced the creation of even 1,000 more jobs there just a couple weeks ago. There is so much energy here, so many jobs. And it's incumbent upon all of us, though, to make sure, as there's pressure for development and more people coming in, we welcome them, but also never lose the character and charm that identifies us and gives us our unique character here. And that's why projects like these that we're funding today are an important part of continuing the story of Central Islip, and not just looking back at its storied past, but looking forward to an even better future. So now, talking about the experience of living here, we are going to allocate $3 million to enhance the pedestrian experience in the downtown corridor. This will be streetscape improvements along Carlton Avenue, between Suffolk and Smith Street, and it's important to enhance the pedestrian safety and experience. But it's more about its safety, but it's also connectability. What has happened is different pockets of communities grow up. There's never an overlying theme or an overall effort to link them together. So you get pockets of people growing up with distinct neighborhoods. This is all about connecting the dots, but more importantly, connecting the people. And so this $3 million will be used to enhance that experience. We also want to take advantage of the former train station site and to turn that into a mixed-use development with $1.8 million. We'll transform it into a transit-friendly mixed-use development, affordable apartments, and the operative word is affordable. That is one of the biggest challenges we have here. Young people grow up here. They love this community. They have jobs here now, but they simply can't afford to grow up in the neighborhood they grew up in. So we're going to continue focusing our effort to make sure there's affordable housing, retail space, a cultural facility, and a public plaza, and all will be accessible from the LIRR station. So that's going to be transformative. We're going to install infrastructure along Carlton Avenue, $2 million. This may not sound exciting, but to local government officials it is. New sewers. Because when you have new sewers, you can have the development that follows. Because with those limitations, we've not been able to really achieve our full potential when it comes to restaurants and businesses that could go along there. So this will promote a whole mixed-use corridor. We're also going to spend $1.3 million to construct a mixed-use development 26,000 square feet, buildings at 108 and 110 Carlton Avenue with ground floor commercial and retail. And again, what do I like to say? Affordable apartments at the upper stories, creating an opportunity for downtown living and walkability. And I remember in this area, Long Island has Levittown. We know all to know about the suburbs, and the American dream was years ago, a generation ago, 2 generations ago, was living in the suburbs, having your own space. Today, I'm so excited that that whole vision of what quality of life is all about has been turned upside down. People want to live with other people in downtown areas. And those of us in government have to reverse some of the policies of the past, whether it's zoning, whether there's been other limitations on space use downtown, but young people in particular, they want to congregate with others. Millennials coming here, living here, working in the same neighborhood. But also as an empty nester, I also know that the empty nesters want to hang out with the millennials so we feel a little bit younger. So when I see a downtown that's focused on bringing back housing, whether it's in old warehouses or upstairs living above retail, and you have a downtown brewery, an incubator space, that says to me this is a community that's really ready to embrace the future. So that's going to be exciting as well. $1.3 million for that project. Also, for $985,000, we'll build a 2-story building on a highly visible corner at 69 and 75, number 69 and 79 Carlton Avenue. And this is going to create opportunities for commercial use, mix of studio and 1-bedroom apartments, but a multi-generational community. I love multi-generational. Downtown destination for visitors and residents. $600,000 is going to establish a commercial property improvement fund, and that's going to support the owners and the merchants' investment. And what we're trying to do here is something that I lived through when I was first out of law school. My mother decided she didn't like the flowers that were done at my brother's wedding, so instead of complaining, she's going to start her own flower shop. She knows nothing about retail, nothing about business, but somehow her daughter, the new lawyer, is going to figure this out. We went to a rundown community, my hometown, had seen its glory days. But what a lot of people didn't have was the opportunity to fix up their facades. It was too expensive. There were not loans available. So while my mother created this beautiful little flower shop with a spectacular window that changed by the seasons, right across the street was a delicatessen, and the owner would come out every day with a piece of paper with a magic marker and write the price of beer that day and stick it in the window. So we're trying to scale up the image of a community, and others are not exactly participating in that effort. It's the nicest way I can say it. This money will help those businesses, the ones who want to take advantage of this, know that they're part of a larger community image. And if we can help them with signage and facade improvement, and sometimes uncovering what was done in the 70s when people had no idea what real architecture was, when they covered up beautiful brick buildings with stucco. Oh my God, if I get my hands on someone who did that, I'll get over that. But I've seen so many downtowns ruined because people didn't have the vision that I see on display here today. And that's why I'm so excited that this money will be used to further that as well. We also want to continue to tell the Central Islip story and have $20,000 allocated toward a history trail, a 5-mile hiking and biking trail. And I'm a biker, I'm excited, from Federal Courthouse to the historic Homestead. And there'll be over 29 locations with interpretive panels. And what we're going to do is continue to tell the great story that maybe residents now know, but the people who come here for the first time, the tourists that we're trying to attract here, will understand the historic significance of this great community. So that is your list. That is not came out of Albany. That is from your community and put forward. So congratulations to everyone involved. And with that, I will turn it over to the supervisor.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor, and certainly to the governor for his confidence in the Central Islip community. Most of us know it took us 3 swings at the bat to be successful in securing this much needed investment in Central Islip, in our corridor, our downtown corridor. But it happened, and it happened because the community pulled together. And part of the process, as the Lieutenant Governor referred to, was having everyone come together. And this community was so impressive in that from the beginning, when we had meetings, and there were countless meetings, and I want to really acknowledge all of the members of the LPC, the local planning committee. If you would please just raise your hands. These are the people. And Jim Morgo, who is a member of the REDC and a resident of the town of Islip, and the co-chair, Bell Padagian, are residents of the town of Islip. They had skin in the game. They were at every single meeting. And when it came to having the community meetings, we didn't have 20, 40 people show up. We had hundreds of people show up at Central Islip in the cafeteria. And it wasn't just for the first meeting, because there were 3 community meetings, and the attendance didn't dwindle, which usually happens. You know, everybody comes to the first meeting, and then it sort of tapers off. That was not the case. Till the very, very end, everybody was very, very much engaged. And there might be a little bit of a disappointment factor here, because some of the projects that were submitted, quite frankly, that had a lot of community support, were not selected. So we're going to hold the Lieutenant Governor to her word in helping us identify those other pockets of money to make sure that we can get the total goal achieved for what everyone in this community saw for the incredible, incredible hamlet of Central Islip. Thank you. And it really, truly is an incredible hamlet. And as the Lieutenant Governor said, it is an incredible story to tell. And Nancy and her crew with the Civic Council and Debbie and everyone else that's been involved is going to help make that happen. And I have to say a very special thank you to Ron Meyer and Bill Mannix, who work at the town of Islip. They, yes, no matter what we asked of them as we went through this process, they were there. They wrapped their arms around this project, and whether it was producing large prints for meetings or whatever it was, and they too came to each and every meeting. They really put their heart and soul into this, and I think as we move forward, we're going to see more of that. The town is 100% committed. The town board is, and again, I have to thank John Cochran. He too came to all of those meetings. So again, let's keep working together to make this dream a reality. And again, on behalf of all of the residents of the town of Islip, I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor for being here today and sharing the good news, and to please communicate our best wishes to the governor. Thank you. And now I'm going to turn it over to someone who is a real partner with us here in the town of Islip, and his partnership is going to be really, really key. We are excited to hear we got the $2 million for the sewers, and this is something that we have to work with the county for sure. So we're looking forward to that moving forward. So without further ado, our county executive and a good friend, Steve Bellone.
Thank you very much, Supervisor. And I had a sense there was going to be an ass coming out right after that partnership, but it's an easy thing to do. We were proud to support the application put forward by the Supervisor and the town board in the town of Islip. This third time, sometimes it takes a couple times. It wasn't a third strike though; it was a home run. And the work that you did and the members of the committee did and the community coming together, I really applaud your efforts, Supervisor, and thank you for doing this. To the governor, thank you for being here once again. She mentioned the energy happening here and the pharmaceutical company at Hauppauge Industrial Park, Contract Pharmaceutical, locating more jobs. I would submit to the Lieutenant Governor that the reason we're seeing all of this energy, the primary reason for that is because we have had historic investments being made on Long Island, here in Suffolk County, but on Long Island, that are game-changing investments in double track and third track, infrastructure investments throughout the entire Long Island Railroad system, which is critical. Our transportation, even the investments at JFK, the transformations there in LaGuardia have an incredible impact on us. Water quality investments, the list goes on and on. Lieutenant Governor, thank you very much for your continued leadership on all these issues, but around economic development in particular and on the Regional Economic Development Councils. To all my colleagues here, I thank my former colleague on the legislature, Monica Martinez, who's doing great things for us now up in Albany, and my colleague now, you can applaud that, Legislator Sammy Gonzalez, of course, who's filled her shoes now and doing a great job. And of course, someone Ramos I'm going to be introducing in just a moment, who I toured the downtown with not long ago and who's been fighting for this for a long time. But look, bottom line, this is a great day for Central Islip. It's a great day for Suffolk County and Long Island. This is what we need to be doing. These are the investments we need to be doing. I thank my colleagues out there, John Durso, Mayor Dave Capel, one of the pioneers in transit-oriented development in our region, Jim Morgo, former Suffolk County legislator and pioneer in affordable housing here in this region, and the issues we're talking about. But this only happens, great things like this, you hit a home run like this, when you have leadership and you have everybody working together. And that's what's happening here. This is the model. Let's keep it going. With that, I want to thank, again, the Lieutenant Governor, Governor Cuomo, for their support, and to bring up my good friend, Assemblyman Phil Ramos.
Thank you. Thank you. Today is a proud day here in CI. You guys proud? Yeah. You should be, because how often does this happen? Does this kind of investment happen? How often does this coalition of elected officials happen to work? And how often is our community engaged? This didn't happen overnight. I've had repeated conversations with the governor, who I want to thank for this wonderful milestone. And in the conversations with the governor, I spoke about the history of this community. And we all know, anybody who's lived here any amount of time knows that for the most part, we haven't been consulted with most things that happen over here. Projects end up getting planted in our community without regard to synergy. One big example is Park Row and all the beautiful apartments we had there without an investment in our downtown. And that's why you see that big market of people there. Most people do not shop in our downtown because the proper investments were not made and those synergies were not considered. Today, the governor heeded the call. He understood what we spoke about. Today, we have millions of dollars invested in CI for just that, to develop our downtown, to make sure that we have a user-friendly downtown that lifts up the quality of our community, that increases the property values. Whenever somebody looks at the property values of homes, the first thing they look at is the downtown. That's how they judge. And that gives our residents here equity, more equity and disposable income as a result of investments of downtown. That is something that we must do as elected officials, work together, because the history has been that the agenda has in many times been hijacked of our community. Resources have been hijacked to wealthier communities. And we all know of history of very few investments here. Even recently, I secured $1 million to deal with the gang problem here and place plate spotter cameras all around. These cameras don't give tickets. They're here to be able to, if a crime happens, the police can get a cold hit on any car that left that neighborhood. And we have elected officials trying to hijack that money to put it in wealthier neighborhoods. We as a community have to stand up and fight for these things. And thank God, with the work of our governor, our lieutenant governor, our town supervisor, Angie Carpenter, you were consulted on every aspect of this project. And what is happening today is a result of your work. May God bless the people of CI. And today is a very proud day. Let's watch this beautiful town grow. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you for being here, and you've heard it all. It is a great day for downtown Central Islip and the entire community and the entire county of Suffolk. I look forward to seeing the great development, making sure that we keep our young here. We're always talking about the brain drain. This will keep our youngs here as well as our older generation as well. All right, so we can't forget about them too. But I look forward to all the great projects. Lieutenant Governor, thank you for being here today, and please also give a warm thank you to the governor of this great state of New York.